Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Konerri from Out of Work Outdoors, and this is going to be one of our first videos we're going to be bringing to you guys, and it's going to be in the form of a lure review. Now, this lure I've been testing for the better part of the last 4 months, on and off, and I'd say about 5 or 6 fishing trips. I've caught a lot of interesting fish with it. But what you see in front of you is the Shimano Waxwing. I've tested 3 different sizes, all the sizes except for the biggest size. But the sizes available are the 68 millimeter, the 88, and 118, and I believe the 128 millimeters. And they also range in differences in the weight as well. We'll get to that in a little bit. How I got these are the 2 that I have left from 4 that I've been fishing. Okay. And how I lost those other 2 have been just snags. I fish a lot of shallow water, and I've actually lost them that way. Just kind of being stupid and letting them drift down too deep, and they snag up on stuff. So that's how I lost those 2. But I'll flash some pictures in on those. I had a chrome one, and I had a sardine color one. And by far the sardine color one was probably the best looking one out of the bunch. This one right here is the gold, and this one is the I think it's a green shad is what they called it. One of the reasons why I bought this was because it was actually a very unique design that you don't see with a lot of the lures. And when I was looking at the advertising for this lure, it gave me some idea that it was going to swim very much like a very erratic movements and things like that I'm really accustomed to, like a plastic lure that I can swim. Well, I call it swim, but you can jerk around it and it'll twitch all over the place. So according to the videos I saw on the internet, that's what really sold me on it. So I bought it in the colors that I knew. The stripers in my area, now I live in the central states of America, and our stripers go after shad and other species like baby carp. And that's one of the reasons why I got this one. Or it'll kind of mimic a black salty for those guys that know what a black salty is. And of course I got the green shad because stripers predominantly chase shad around here. So those are 2 major colors that I picked up. I also picked up the chrome just because all bait fish will resemble chrome. And I picked up the sardine because the blue with the black dots has always been a hit, especially in my tackle box. I always have to get that color if it's available. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit more about the lures and just my opinion on it. And I've been fishing for a long time, and when a new lure comes out that wins at the ICast for the best, I believe they won best hard bait lure or best subsurface lure. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'll annotate that as well. And one of the major designs that's different from this lure that you won't see anywhere else, and they actually have a patent on this, Shimano has a patent on this, is immediately if you look at this, so immediately if you look at this, you can see that it's got a fin on top and a fin on the bottom. Okay, the profile of the lure, looking at it sideways, is no big deal. Besides these 2 fins, if you look at it on top, you'll see there's a slightly difference from every other lure that's out there. It's almost like a vertical jigging spoon, but it's not designed to fish that way. Okay, so, and from what I can tell, at least from reading and watching Shimano videos, is this fin is designed to keep the lure upright. This fin is designed to give the lure the erratic wobble from the head. And that's the major thing that I've seen from this lure from my testing, is this lure, it doesn't wobble like conventional lures where the tail wobbles. It's more likely to wobble at the head, which will wobble like kind of like this. So as you're bringing it in, the head actually wobbles and the butt follows. A lot of the other lures actually wobble like this, like your pivot point's in the middle. It'll wobble like that. But this one tends to have a pivot point at the end of the lure, so it's more of a wobble like that. And the other cool thing about this is this lure, when you cast it out, it casts like a Kastmaster, okay? And everybody who knows what a Kastmaster is, it's basically a chunk of steel dipped in either, or a chunk of copper dipped in stainless steel or chrome plated or something. I don't know exactly how they do it, but it casts really far. For 1 ounce, it casts really far. And once it hits, there's weight on the belly of the lure that keeps it up straight all the time. Even though when you're not retrieving the lure anymore, the lure doesn't go backwards, or it just doesn't flutter down like that onto the bottom. It always goes like that. If you stop, it'll tend to back up a little bit, and if you keep tension on the line, it'll sink just like that, going down. And if you slow down your retrieve, it'll actually nosedive and go down like that. And this hook is actually very, in my opinion, it's good and it's bad. Okay, the reason why I say that is I fish a lot of shallow water. Shallow water meaning 5 feet to 2 feet. Okay, so with this design, okay, so let's just take this for example. Okay, so say this was a rock, right? You could come right over it, you'll hit, and it won't snag. All right, so you can see it just went over. All right, so that's a good thing about this lure. It's really good at not snagging. Okay, because I could have lost it many times, but for most of the times, I would say the 1 out of the 20 times it actually, when you hit a rock or you hit structure, it actually snags up. And that's how I lost the other 2. So this actually it's a really cool design, okay? Because it's actually a pretty good size hook compared to the lure. Usually, if you were going to put a treble hook on here, it'll probably be half the size, half the length here. But for some reason, Shimano decided to do that. And the other thing is, they didn't put a snap ring here. It actually goes directly to the structure of the bait itself. And by doing that, it keeps the hook from tilting too much, so it's always standing up like that. And I always thought that was a pretty cool, ingenious idea to do it, because that way, the only way this hook can say hook on to structure is if the lure is upside down, and the lure is never going to be upside down, so it's always going to be like this. So if the lure tips sideways, that way or that way, that's the only way you're going to get hung up. And that's kind of what I did, and that's how I kind of screwed up and got mine snagged on the bottom. I wasn't retrieving it fast enough, and I guess it must have went down, hit the bottom, and then capsized and got hooked onto something. But yeah, this hook is good and is bad at the same time. The reason for that is I get a lot of strikes and a lot of misses, because if you could imagine, if a fish is going to hit this from the bottom, okay, so if you're looking at it like this, you're the fish, you're looking at it from the bottom. See a nice Shimano's logo here too, but the fish doesn't know that. But say the fish is doing this and it strikes it like this. When you pull, when you try to set your hook, it will not hook up, okay? And I see that a lot. Right? I see that very often. Very often. I have a pretty low hookup ratio when I'm retrieving this thing really slow. Now Shimano says if you retrieve it really slow, the wobble is going to be a wider wobble, and it'll actually do its erratic movements a lot better, which is true. When you're retrieving fast, it'll wobble more of a really tight pattern. But the thing is, when you wobble really slow, or when you're retrieving really slow, you get a lot of hits and misses, okay? A lot. I mean, about maybe 50 to 60% of them be missed. And when you retrieve really fast, that's where the magic happens, okay? When you retrieve really fast, you're trying to mimic a fish that's trying to get away. And when you retrieve very fast, the fish tend to follow the lure. And when they follow it, they take that first gulp on the tail, that's when it's going to hook up on. And that's how I've caught my stripers and my bass so that way. If you retrieve slow, you get a hit, throw it right back out there, retrieve it fast, a little faster or really fast, and you'll see that that same fish will probably hit it again and you'll catch it, okay? So that's my findings on this lure. As as I don't have the smallest size, but in terms of construction, it's a really hard plastic here, soft plastic here. It's almost like a plexiglass. It's actually flexible if you look at it. There you go. It's flexible. Top flexible on the bottom. The same with this size. Flexible on top, flexible on the bottom. This is the 88, and the one that was a little lower than that, the 68, I believe, is one of the ones that I lost. And actually, in terms of construction, it's pretty stout until you cast it directly into rock, because I threw the sardine color one, and I'll flash in some pictures of that one of how it looks like. On the sardine one, on the smallest size, a 66 millimeter, this is 68, okay, the 66 millimeter, the fins are not this plastic. It's actually part of the body plastic itself, so it's molded together, and it's not as thin, it's a little thicker. But I believe this fin is a little more durable if you're actually going to cast into rocks or between rocks or things like that, because I actually casted my 68 millimeter directly into a damn wall, and I cracked the fin, cracked the top fin. And even though I cracked it pretty bad, you could say the angle or the radius on this side is gone, and it basically cracked right here this way. It was still wobbling in the water. It just wasn't doing as good. And I still managed to catch some fish after that, just because it was still swimming in the water. So for construction, the exterior construction, those two fins, they're pretty much as durable as they can be. But I just wanted to point out that on the smallest size, these two fins are not different materials. It's the same as the body material, and it's a clear plastic. And for this size, these fins are actually just glued in. If you look at this big one, you can see it. That, let me try the camera to focus a little bit. Okay, let me see if I can bring this in. You can kind of see it. See? See, it's almost like this big carve out here, so the fin can be inserted in. Okay? There you go. Alright. And like I said, there's a big weight in here to keep this lure always standing up. And that's one of the major things that I can see that makes this lure casts very well, and it also stands up all the time. It never wobbles to the side or anything like that. Also the eyes, the scales. This one is more of a matte color. It still shines a little bit just because of the clear coat it has on there. But this one is the one that's got the cool scale-like reflectors built in, okay? And for the sardine color, it's even more attractive than this. Okay, and as for weight on these guys, the 68 millimeter is a ½ ounce. This one is actually 7/8 ounce. The 118 is 1.5 ounces. This is at 1.5 ounces. And the big one, the 168 millimeter, is actually 4.4 ounces. Well, actually, no. The 138 is at 2.1 ounce, and there's the big one, the daddy one, which is 4.4 ounces, and that's, I guess, built for big ocean waters or big ocean fishing, like tuna or even barracuda or some things like that. And I'm pretty sure these can stand up to big fish with big teeth, because it's not like this isn't like a soft plastic or anything, and the hooks are pretty stout. They should be able to handle just about any fish out there. And on top of that, I don't know if you can see, oh, there you can. This is a really well constructed lure in terms of the internals, or at least in terms of the fish anchoring systems, hook anchoring systems, because you have a wire that actually goes from the top or the front of the lure all the way back, right to the back. So there's no way this can just pull out. Okay, that's one of the things that I really like about the lures. Especially this lure. There you can see there's another angle. You can see the wire right there. For the price of the lures, they really have to bring at least something to the table, and that's what they've been trying to do, I believe, here. So the colors are very well put together, in my opinion. It covers a very, very wide variety of areas, or at least regions in the world. You have everything from your natural looking colors, which is the ones that I've bought, to very, very, I would say radiant, because you have the pink, the pink colors, the bone colors, you have the sand eel colors, you have the rainbow trout, a green, almost like a turquoise color. They call it a mint, and they got a golden yellow, and they even got a black purple. And there's at least, from what I can tell, 16 different colors that you can get every one of these sizes in, I believe. Okay, so let's just kind of summarize what I've just said, because I know I've just said a lot of things to you. So basically, the Waxwing from Shimano, good or bad? I think it, for the price, it borderlines good or bad. I can't say it's good or bad, just because it hasn't been really tested very well by other anglers out there. I think I'm one of the very first ones to really do a full-blown review on this lure on YouTube, and it just hasn't been really, really well tested. I know they won a lot of awards and things like that, but from another angler's point, they might love it, they might hate it. From my point, I tend to like this design. I think there could be a little bit of an improvement in the hook design. Maybe somehow, somewhere, instead of putting in the hook back here, they could have put the hook dangling here. I don't know. I mean, it is, you just kind of do something like this, where the hook is placed a little more up in line with the, or at least up the spline of the lure. That way, if you get a hit from the bottom, it'll hook up better. I know on the biggest one, they do offer an eyelet right here where you can put a hook on there, but that's only on the biggest one and not on the smaller ones. So if you're reeling really slow, and like I just demonstrated, if the fish hits from the bottom, your odds of retrieving that fish and landing that fish is very slim, in my opinion. That's what I've seen. If the fish hits from the back, you'll get a snout hookup, which is perfect. So rule that I've learned from fishing this is you can fish it slow just to see if there's any fish in the area, but if you get a hit and miss, then definitely retrieve it really, really fast, and that's where the magic's going to happen. And the other thing is, they do have that ultrasonic line, not ultrasonic, ultraviolet line that goes right across the lure itself. From the human eyes, you can almost not even see it, but I guess the fish makes a big difference with the fish. There you go, you can see it on this one too. Makes a big difference on the fish. So that's the kind of the construction that Shimano has put into their lures that I really appreciate. For the price is one of the reasons why I say it is good and is not very good, because the price is kind of pricey. Okay, for the smallest size, which is even smaller than this one, the 68mm, you're looking at a price of $14.99, and the price goes up from there. It goes all the way up to 30, and I think it's a little bit higher than that on the biggest one. And from what I've been seeing, your prices are going to be cheapest on eBay. Okay, I hate to say it sometimes, but it is. It is what it is. Okay, so the eBay prices that include the free shipping, yeah, those are the ones you're gonna want. Those are the cheapest ones that I found. And I've actually bought this one off of eBay. I know I bought this one, I believe, from Tackle Warehouse, or another distributor that carries the Shimano Waxwing. Actually, I think this one is from Tackle Warehouse, but this one I bought from eBay, and that's probably where the best place to get them is at. Okay, so well, remember I told you at the beginning of the review, I bought this lure because I wanted a lot of characteristics that some of the other lures can handle. I really wanted a subsurface lure, because the topwater lures were sometimes not getting hookups at all. I mean, you would get the fish that'll chase it and chase and chase it, and they'll never get a chance to hit it, or they'll hit it and it's more of a snag action instead of an actual bite action. So I wanted one that would actually allow the fish to hit the lure, good hookups, and that was the major thing that I was playing with over the past year. Was a lot of topwater hits, when you get them, they'll run off of you, and then they'll become unhooked because it's not a good hook point on the fish's mouth, or in most cases it's just, stripers have really hard face plates. I call them face plates or jawbones, and you can never get a hook to penetrate that, so you get a lot of hookups that will leave you in the dust. So we're trying to get a lure that can hook up inside the striper's mouth, and I know usually if you can get a hookup inside of the striper's mouth, you really can land them very well. But as I was fishing, I did learn a lot of different things. Fish it fast, or faster than a standard retrieve is probably going to be your best thing. And like I said, I wanted something that was going to be subsurface, where the fish can see it, fish can chase it a little bit better. Been looking for better hookups, and didn't really find it here, to be honest with you. What else I got? The other thing was, a lot of the lures that were going to give you the subsurface action, like the Rapala Subwalk, yeah, you could not cast that thing pretty far. It was like a standard lure that could just cast maybe 30 yards, and that was it. That was like max out 30 yards. So I need something that can go all further, because I fish from the shore. And when you see that bait ball in explosion in the middle of the river, you need to get out there. And it's not like I don't have a good rod. Anyways, I fish both of these off of a 7.5 or an 8.5 foot rod. On the 8.5, I am using the Shimano Stratic 8000 reel with a 8.5 foot ugly stick rod with Power Pro 20-pound line, the Super Silk 8, and I can throw them out pretty far. I'm talking maybe 50 yards out on a bad day with the wind blowing in your face. And the other thing is, these lures, like I mentioned before, they cast like lead sinkers. And that's one thing that is key to this lure. They cast very well. It doesn't matter if it's windy or not. They can still cast very well, compared to other lures where if you're fighting the wind, they're gonna go maybe half the distance. Okay, so that's the major thing that I have to advocate to most of my peoples. And I know a lot of people that are surf fishermen. They're gonna like this lure, okay, because your chances of fishing on the surf, especially when the surf is coming in high tide and the wind's in your face, if you need to get beyond the surf, you don't have a lot of choices. You either have to go into the water, or you have to resort to a Kastmaster again. But the Kastmaster, I think, for a striper, if it's not in a feeding frenzy mode, once it's chasing it and it sees it, it'll turn away, because it doesn't look like a real fish. Now, this has the properties and characteristics of a Kastmaster. We can cast it out really far. I've already read the specs to you. They come in at the pretty high weights as well. And because of their streamlinedness, when you cast in this, the lure doesn't actually tumble. It actually goes flat out. When you cast it, you'll see it going like this, flat out like that. Every time. It feels, when you cast it, it feels like you're casting a Kastmaster. I know it's twice, almost 3 times the price, but that's the benefit of it. That's what you get from this lure. And I hope you guys enjoy that. Those are my final thoughts. I will continue to probably buy this lure, because I know because those certain situations where you have to get out there and you're fishing shallow water, so a Kastmaster is not an option, because it comes with a treble hook. And it doesn't look like a fish, so the fish is really picky. It's not going to take the hit. So, like I said, I'd rather buy the lure and use it in those times than to not have the lure and then have somebody else be using it, and you're just kind of stuck watching everybody fish, and it really sucks at that time. Only been here 2 hours, and we got 5 crappies.
Still basically
pretty good sized
white
crappies.
chrome if you look at it from the back.
Pan size, good fine size.
It's gold, alright? So that's the color change effects.